Hello, my English audience and subscribers. In this video, I talk about my program. I translated on English, and today I tell you about main functions of my program. This story will be about main function only because there are so many of them. So, what is this program for? It's multifunctional program. Main function is built the flight plan and then control it. You can make flight plan eight ways. But first I talk about how to set up the program and run it. The subscriber of my channel see my program. In these playlists I talk about 2144 and my program, N24 and my program, 2134 and my program, and next. My program is free for use and you can download it using the link in the description of this video. The password of our hive is 12345, and when you extract my program you see this many files, and first you need copy the executable file. For Prepar3D version 4 it's paste this folder, and if you use Prepar3D version 3 or FSX or Explain, you need to use this version of my program. In my cases I copy that file and paste it in main folder of my program. When it is very desirable to read the file readme, and I'm so sorry for my bad English, but I had a rule: better to do so than not. Open the readme file, and first section of this file, it's minimal requirements of my program. First step, we do them as, and next read these puncts and check that way I executed on your computer. My program works only in Windows 7 on Windows 10 and does not work on Windows XP. You need to install .NET version 4.5 or higher on your computer. Be sure you need to install Adobe Reader from the Adobe.com to work my program, and your Internet Explorer is not lower than 11 versions. And then go to the control panel. Control panel, regional settings, and at additional settings change the decimal symbol to dot. Determine which wish simulator you are going to work. And next step, configure the program. To do it, open, not close, readme file and open path.txt file. It's main file of setting of my program. And At this section I translate how to set up my program and what each line stands for. First line at set path of Prepar3D. It's not need to explain. Second line set the speeds of linear deflections. It optional settings. I will skip the optional settings now. And first mine settings. Which airports display on your map? In my cases I set this setting to 2, and I see a largest airports on the map. It's painted green cycles. The orange color for medium size airports. And if you set 3 of this line, you see all airports included in my programs. Oh, sorry, if you set 1, for example, I set 1, file save, and I restart my program. And wait for paint the airports. And now you see many little airports on the map. It's very many. But I not like see it. And I set 2 on this line. Next basic settings is what type of connection of your simulator you are going to use. If you use Prepar3D version 4 or Prepar3D version 3, you must install SimConnect and set SC on this line. If you use Explain, you must see UDP. UDP connection, type of connection of simulator. This is the most important setting of my program. And next setting is enable or disable use virtual smooth camera in my program. In this video I will not talk about it. And when next setting enable disable using Saitek multi-panel and switch panel, and next setting enable set the type the PMDG aircrafts for working the Saitek panels. And next settings enable or disable real world traffic in Prepar3D. It's work in Prepar3D, and I don't talk about in this video. Next setting and basic setting. Next basic setting is equal default departure airports and default arrival airports. For example, I set it Khmer and KJFK for Kennedy airports. And when I restart my program, I don't save. Sorry. And otherwise, and you see this setting of primary screen of my program, and it's a first step of planning flight plan in my programs. While we close the settings files, because I talk in detail of all settings of my programs in next video, and you can read about it in the readme file and set for you with settings. And first step to create a flight plan, you need to set vehicle, airports of arrival, airports of departure, and airports of arrival. In my cases, I set Miami airports, by the way, if you want to change airports, you can type it by keyboard, or you can drag and drop the airports from the map to this edit box. For example, I drag and drop the airports, and you see it calculates the distance from these airports. And if my programs knows the flight plan, for example, it's immediately appear in this row. And what you need to do, and set procedure of created flight plan. If you can use standard instrumental departure, check this checkbox. Standard arrival, check this checkbox. And if you want to use approach procedure, check this checkbox. And if you want to use go around procedure, check this checkbox. I don't check in my cases. And when click on this button, you can see questions load from file or load from string. Which string this line is about. And I select no, because I create my flight plan from string, no from file. And when white, next seconds, and you see on the map Miami airports and it weather on these airports. If you have your mouse on this picture, you see a level of altitude of these airports, the current temperature, current pressure, and wind speeds and wind angle. And at this marker, you see direction of wind and speeds of the wind. Orange line pointed the standard instrument departure, and of these points you see course of these legs and distance of legs. Green line is mine flight plan, and this marker set the standard arrival to JFK airports. And blue line shows the approach procedure from the arrival airports. If there are beacons in the flight plan presence, you can see the blue cycle for their beacons and red cycle from NDB beacons. And in the primary windows of my programs, in this list you see the flight plan for 2154, and at this page the flight plan for Russian RSBN system on 24 or 2134. And if you need to save created flight plan, you can press right mouse button on this grid and save flight plan in different formats. Or you can send the current flight plan to Prepar3D directly. And this first way to create flight plan on my program. Second way to create flight plan, I delete this line to show you. And when we set departure airport and arrival airports, you can press this button to download flight plan from Route Finder. It's automatic close this window. For example, I restart my program and case for San Francisco, JFK, delete this line and press this button. Nothing to do necessary. Y to close this window. And you see a string of flight plan download from Route Finder. When again press download to create button, press no, waiting to create flight plan. And these cases I do not set a procedure, linear flight plan, and you see it on your screen. My Prepar3D is loaded, and I can send my flight plan to Prepar3D. For example, node flight plan. Right click, send current flight plan to Prepar3D directly. Set the parameters of flight plan, IFR, high altitude flight plan, select, and see at Prepar3D flight planners, and you see this flight plan in the Prepar3D. It's easy way to translate flight plan to Prepar3D. And second way to plan flight plan on my program. The third way is, if you need, you can load flight plans from the file I And again I set yes, and when I load flight plans from PLN formats of Prepar3D, FS6, FS 2004 versions, or FS9, or explain format files, you can open it and see it in the program. For example, I load flight plan short flight plan from KVPS to Miami airports. It's third ways. And next, you can create flight plan manually. To do it, I restart my program. To show clearly, create this way of flight plan. Sorry, I double click to this button and it go down. This window show you the airport's departure and airport's arrival. We were taken for the head window, and it's this window you can see the airport's departure, and you see all of standard instrumental departure procedure in real position. You can click on this picture and see the way of this procedure, or you can only see the names of seat to these points. And if you go to the arrival airports, you can see the star, standard instrument arrival of these airports. You can select arrival you need and select departure unit. And when you can change many settings. To do it, press right mouse button on the map, and you can set the high altitude or low altitude railways. In my cases I set high altitude, and when I press Find Route, you can see the procedure of a Find Route, and you see a flight plan. When you need translate this flight plan from this form to mine form, to do it I press this button and wait next seconds, and I see created flight plan over mine program. This is the fourth ways to create flight plan in my program, and now I show you next ways to clearly show. I restart my programs again. Go to create monitoring flight plan window. When I open my Windows full screen mode and select create flight plan for beacons, VR beacons or NDB beacons. After I press this button, you can see on the map all beacons in the world, and you see this panel, and all you need to do, you can drag and drop the beacon you need. When I press the picture of beacon, we see cycle of distance range of this beacon. For example, I drag this beacon to these boxes, and when I look at next beacon, I can find large range beacons and drag it to this boxes. Next beacon, for example these beacons, and continue my procedure. If you want, you can take and drag and drop any beacons of maps. These beacons, oh, it's very large distance. His beacon, with beacon, short distance, large distance. Next, and with beacons, and you see prepared flight plan. When I drag it, all necessary beacons on this box, I uncheck this line, and when press this button again, and after a few seconds I close this windows and see my flight plan on the main windows. It's same beacons always place. It's my mistake. But next way to create flight plan: restart program, go to create monitor windows, and if you need, you can create flight plan for the beacons automatically. To do this, press this button, find road VIR in DB beacons, and you see created flight plan. For example, I set clocks. Clocks Los Angeles airports. You see all of seats of these airports. I select seats that I need, select star, and then press find route, and you see route for the air and NDB beacons from Los Angeles to New York. And when press again the waiver flight plan, and after a few seconds you see, close with windows, you see this flight plan on the main primary screen. And if you need to, you can save this flight plan, or send it directly to Prepar3D, select VAR, select VFR flight plan, and you see this flight plan on the map and the Prepar3D. And if you open create monitoring flight plans Windows after create flight plan, you can see your flight plan in this Windows again. And second ways to create flight plan. Select airport's arrival departure, go to create monitoring flight plan, and when create manually flight plan for high altitude airways. When you press this checked line for the first time, you can see all airways starting from exit points of standard instrumental departure. In my cases it's wedge points, it's named Hadley, and green line show you where the airways continued, and red lines show you the direction of future movements. For example, I drag with, I press and hold my mouse, left mouse key, on this button and see the ways where I can flights from these points. And if I am going to flight here, I drag and drop this point, beacon or X in these cases. And when I see black lines, it set these ways from these points to these points, and when I see green lines from these points, if you do not need radio with beacons, you can set it with settings. I restart create flight plan to show it clearly. I uncheck this and create manually when it's clearly to see. I drag and drop with points, and when I drag and drop these points, if I mistake, I can press right mouse button and delete segments. I mistake of create my flight plan, and I restart it. And when I drag it 2 points, the flight plan automatically closed. When the first point of star is available, and when I uncheck this button, this line, and send my flight plan to primary windows of my program, wait a few seconds, close these windows, and you see created flight plan in the primary windows. And this is the 6th way to create flight plan of my program. 7 ways load from flight. It is now not connections to site flight plan database. In the evenings it is usually unavailable. And now when you create flight plan, I talk about other functions of my programs shortly. First you can monitor your flight plan on my program. To do it, do not forget set right connection to the theme. If it Lockheed Martin Prepar3D, you need to set SC theme connect input files, and when I set my programs always on top and start connected, and when you see your aircrafts on the map, you can center the map by plane or uncheck this to move the map, or you can open next window, this window create or monitor flight plan, and in this window you can see also your aircrafts. You can set these windows always on top. You can scale with windows when you need. If you need, you can close bottom panel. If you need to down primary windows. At any time you can stop connection, and monitored flight plan is stopped. I forgot to tell you how to change instrumental or approach departure or arrival. When you create a flight plan using a set and start procedure, the arrival procedure, I create overvise flight plan. When it created, I can change my set procedure, go to the set window and select the set you want, and press load selected. And when the seed procedure is reloaded and flightPlaner is reloaded. For example, I change to this. Current sits written at this string, and you see reloaded departure procedure. Similarly, you can change arrival procedure. If runway is not set, you can answer what arrival runway you can use. Select it. And flightPlaner recreated to arrival you selected. This new arrival to selected runways. Similarly, you select approach. This section for Russian navigation system, name it RSBN. With grid you see all RSBN. This is descent calculator. For example, start connection. And go to flights to show how it's work. You see the movement of my model on the map. If you need, you can change the type of map. For example, I set the Google satellite map. And when I see with top of descent marker on the map, it shows you when you need to descend. In the real time it's calculated, and other feature of my program. In the right top corner you see speeds, altitude, pressure in the real times. And other feature of my program is you can see weather, real weather from META for airports of departure and from airports of arrival. And you can see translated META informations. And if you need, you can set the weather on your simulator. For example, I set cloudy weather And if I need, I set cloudy weather, very cloudy weather, or storm. And if I need, I set the weather from meter when I press this button. Or if I need, I can update my flight plan from the weather for all population weather system, explain weather meter, active sky weather, opus weather, or from any line you paste in this line. I stop connection at this time. And now I show you how to connect the explain. I fly it on explain 11. And to do it, you need to change connect time, connect line to UDP. Save file. Restart the program. I again create my flight plan, start explain, and when start connection, and you see aircrafts at the Miami. Do not forget in the explain settings you need to see default ports. It's 49000 and 49001 UDP ports. And other feature of my program, you can see, if you need, you can set a compass. Around my aircrafts. And if you need, you can show data from aircraft's marker. You can hide top of descent indicator. If you fly it online, you can show EVAL traffic, VATSIM traffic, or rail traffic open sky, or flight radar traffic. To do it, you can set in the path.txt. I see in README at this setting. And when I set one of these positions, save file, and when I need to restart my program, and when I see open sky, real-time traffic, EVAL traffic, VATSIM traffic, if you not need open sky traffic, uncheck this line. If you not need EVAL traffic, uncheck this line. If you need EVAL traffic, check this line. VATSIM traffic. And now I see EVAL traffic on the map. If I move my mouse to plane, I see information of these flights. And when I can trace in my route, expand map for the full screen if you need. But I have little issue on this place. If you need, you can see all RSBN station, all the map for current flight plan, all the existing RxBN station and its radius. You can show all where ONDB station at the map of this radius of we can hide it from map, show where distance available on these flights. Send current cursor coordinate to FMC 2144. I show it in other video. And if you need, you can set I create flight plan. And if I need, I set the weather and explain to little breaks over setting the weather, but it works properly. And in explain, I can monitoring my flight plan in real time. I see other window to see where I present. And at the end of this video I tell you how to create free flight plan using my program. Open creates or monitoring flight plan screen and double click on the map, set the marker, set the next marker and next, double click and double click, and that's all. Then create, use this line, create a flight plan from custom marker. And when you go at the primary window, I'm off open traffic window, and I see this flight plan. It's very easy way to create flight plan using my program. So, using this way, you can create any flight plan. If you need to create flight plan at the airways, you can show it on in my programs. Waiting any seconds. And you can see all of the points and all of the airways. In my case, high altitude airways on the map. Widen anytime. It's many pointing on the map. It's freeze my program because it's many points at the map. And when you can set the marker, custom user marker, at the point on the legs of airways, and your flight plan will be created at these points from the legs of high airways or low airways if you need. I continues from gray lines and a mistake. So creates flight plan. Wait in any seconds. Close with Windows, and you see the flight plans I created. And that's all, and this is the end of this video. For this how I showed only main feature of my programs. If there is time, I will continue, and this is the end, and goodbye.